Welcome back, everybody, to the OPT Network. This morning, we're talking about parenting. And if you've ever raised children, and back in the day when I was raising children, there was a book that really honed in on everything, every milestone that your child had. By the time you got to 5 years old, after 5, you were on your own. And so we didn't really know what to do after 5. So we're grateful for all of the people who have stepped out and written a book, not anything like any of the parenting books out there that you might pick up off the shelf. Our guest this morning is Melanie Dale. Her book is Calm the Heck Down: How to Let Go and Lighten Up About Parenting. All the way from the beautiful city of Georgia, we welcome Melanie to the OPT Network. Melanie, good morning and welcome.
Thank you, Carlette. It's so good to be here with you.
Indeed. So I mean that, like after 5 years old in this book, you got all the milestones, but after age 5, you were sort of on your own. And you've had a journey with children and parenting. So let's talk about why you decided to write Calm the Heck Down.
Yes, when I was thinking about writing a book on parenting, and I thought, what is the biggest thing that I have learned over the years that I could tell other parents? It's definitely how to calm down. You know, some people are naturally wired to be calm people, and that is not me. I am wound too tight. I did not write a book called Stay Calm. I wrote a book called Calm the Heck Down because I very rarely start out calm. I have to work at it. So I have thrown in all of my tips and tactics and strategies that I've learned over the years into this book so that other parents like me who maybe need a little help can learn from me.
Absolutely. And so let's talk about your journey to mothering and to parenting. It was certainly unconventional.
Yes. We went through a very long battle with infertility, and then finally were able to have our son, Elliott, and he is now 13. And then we adopted our youngest daughter, Evie, from Ethiopia at the age of 2. And then we adopted our oldest daughter from Latvia. Her name's Anna, at the age of 9, and she's 16 now. So we have 3 kids from 3 different continents, and we messed with birth order. And we have had to learn a lot about calming the heck down over the years. So
let's talk about, let's rewind to Elliott and going through the process of trying to become pregnant. What is that? How does that change the mindset of, you know, most of us, when we decide we're going to start our families, we just think it's a natural progression. And when it's not, how do you then process that?
Yeah, I think having expectations was challenging. You know, you have expectations for how you think your life is going to go. And then when it ends up differently, you have to take a minute, you know. So one thing I really had to do is learn to mourn my expectations. I had to learn to mourn what I thought life was going to be, how I thought the road to parenting was going to be. And once I was able to mourn those expectations and go through that process, then that freed me up to love the life that I actually have, to embrace the incredible children that I have and the road to them. But there was definitely a mourning period of going through that infertility that took time.
And so you say mourning that period. When did you know, that you needed to really mourn that your expectations were different than what life was actually manifesting?
You know, we went through round after round of fertility treatment, and it really is almost like you're grieving a loss every single month. And it's this roller coaster, and parents who are going through it know what I mean, where you think this is the time, this is going to work this time, you get excited, and then you get bad, the bad result again, and it didn't work. And then you psych yourself up like, okay, this month it's going to be better. And so month after month, and then year after year, just experiencing these losses every single month, it really takes a toll. So a couple years into infertility, I was exhausted, and it was really trying time. And we went through a 5-year battle with infertility before we were able to have Elliott. And then another 2 years of secondary infertility after that, before we finally said, you know what, we're going to just take some time. We're going to mourn what we thought was going to be. I went to therapy. I'm a huge proponent of therapy and getting help. We go to doctors when we're sick, so we should
Sure.
be able to go and get the mental health that we need as well. And so I got healthy. I took time to process all of that. And then we got really excited about adoption on the other side.
And so then you have Elliott. And when do you decide we're going to go to Ethiopia and we're going to adopt a baby? I mean, how does that happen?
Yeah, we started hearing about other people who were adopting, and we got really curious. I had conversations with other people in my life who were in the adoption process and who had brought children home. And our hearts just really turned to adoption. We were like, we have more love to give. We have room in our house. We have room in our hearts. So we started the adoption process, and we were open to just bringing a child from wherever there was a need. And so at the time that led us to Ethiopia, and we fell in love with Evie's country of origin, and we pursued adoption from Ethiopia. And she came home with us when she was almost 2 years old. So we flung ourselves fully into the toddler years again, right then. Elliott was 4 at the time, so he automatically had a baby sister who could run and chase him and play with them right off of the gate.
I love what you wrote about Elliott when you all were bringing her home and he realized that she wasn't white. Tell us about that.
Yeah. 4 years old, from what I've heard, is around when kids start to recognize race. And so for us, the day we brought her home, and the day after we brought her home, they were strapped into their car seats next to each other. And he looked at her legs, and then he looked at his legs, and he was extremely pasty white and she was a beautiful brown. And he finally looked up at me and he said, "Mom, our bodies are not the same color." And I said, "That's true. What colors are they?" And he said, "Well, she's brown and I'm gray." I thought, oh, maybe we need to get him some protein.
So were you concerned about that, because you could have easily brought a child in that was a white child, that you would face all of the challenges, and you talk about the journey through racism and understanding race. What goes into the mix of raising an African child?
Yeah, I mean, we did a lot of research. We went through a lot of training, and definitely recognized in the process that I needed a new set of lenses to see the world through in order to be able to parent, to transracial parent. And so we got really involved with our Black friends. We just really, I think the main thing was really wanted to humble ourselves to go, what do we not know? What do we need to learn? And so I started becoming a better listener and doing more training and getting ready to be able to parent a child who's a different race than me. So it's been a process. And I think Evie, my youngest child, has taught me more than probably anyone in the world.
When did you realize that? And I think we all on this journey of parenting realize that we're not the parents that we thought we would be before we became parents. I mean, because we didn't know how hard parenting, it is the absolute hardest job on the planet. So when did you realize that calm had to be the center?
Be pretty soon into it. I thought pretty right off the bat, I thought I was going to be awesome. I'd see other parents out with their kids and I'm like, well, I'm going to be amazing at that. And then once I became a parent, I was like, this is a lot harder. I kind of disappointed myself. I'm like, I'm not nearly as awesome as I thought I would be. So, I mean, from the start, we were thrown into parenting after infertility and then bringing home a toddler. And that was a whole set of challenges. Just them getting to know each other, bringing her into the family, and then adopting out of birth order and bringing home our oldest and newest child from Latvia, a 9-year-old who already had memories and a life before us. And so
we spoke Russian, nevertheless.
Who spoke Russian and no English. And so we were dealing with English as not even a second language, English as a third language for her.
Wow.
And Yeah, Russian, Latvian, and then English. And so going through that process, just realizing I really have to lighten up about this. And then, and I talk about this in the book, it took us 12 years to assemble our family. And then once we did that, we kind of thought, okay, now the fun begins. That was hard. Now let's have some fun. And then we went through a season that I in the book, I talk about it being like label palooza, where I was sitting in front of doctors and specialists and therapists and teachers telling me labels for some of my kids, and just some things that I couldn't have seen coming, and so I found myself thrust into a special needs parenting and some of the things that you can't ever foresee coming, and so you end up parenting and it looks a lot different than you thought it would. So that presented a lot of challenges, and I realized through that I have to learn how to lighten up if we're going to get through this, and learn how to laugh in the middle of the hard things, because it was always going to be hard.
And so it was going to always be hard. And one of the things that you do in the book a lot is you really use a lot of levity and laughing at yourself and being able to do that, which I think we all need to do. But as women, and I don't want to, I'm not intending to speak for women, but my tribe, I know that we are harder on ourselves than we ever could be. So how do you, in this process of having so many uncertainties, and we have uncertainties with the children that we birth, but then you start to face all of these challenges, how do you then not become so hard and so critical, self-critical, on the journey to trying to give them everything that they need and create a healthy life for them? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that laughter has been a big component of that, and laughter makes us brave. Is what I believe. And so I think it's been important for me to learn, especially through all of that, how to laugh at myself, how to not take myself so seriously, because parenting, whether you have kids with special needs or kids who are adopted or kids who, just who are typical and you birthed them yourselves, no matter what, parenting is the most embarrassing thing that would ever happen to you. Your kids are going to say things, they're going to do things in public. It is the great leveler. And so we're all going through things that are challenging. We're all being embarrassed in public when our kid has a tantrum or something happens. And so we all have to learn to lighten up and just not take ourselves as seriously. And I always feel like if it happened to me, then I'm allowed to laugh at it. So I try not to laugh too much at other people, but I laugh at myself a lot.
And so once you realize that your kids are being labeled, how do you add levity to that and still get through the process of getting each child what they need?
Yeah, I did think that labels were a bad thing originally, but actually I've come to appreciate them because they've helped me get my kids the help that they need. And so my kids are not their labels. They're not the things that they're labeled at, but the labels are more of a tool that we use to help. And so my kids are amazing and they're brilliant and they're unique and they're incredible people. And the labels that some of them have are just the thing that we have been able to use to help unlock them, to get them what they need to succeed and to thrive.
And so once you create this family of such diversity, how then do you create a space that allows them to grow, ethnically and culturally?
We have been so blessed because we actually have several Ethiopian families who live in our neighborhood.
Wow.
And so, yes, I just the other day, one of our good friends, Mulu, dropped off a ton of Ethiopian food and we feasted. And so, and we've been invited to do their cultural celebrations with them, their Orthodox holidays. We get to go over there and Evie just absolutely loves it. And she just gets passed around and it blows my mind that here she is living in Georgia in the United States, and yet she gets to experience a little bit of Ethiopian culture. Nothing that I could ever give her, but because we have incredible neighbors who have taken her under their wing and us under her wing. And so that has been incredible to be able to have that right in our own neighborhood. So yeah, things like that. I think the main thing when you're adopting kids and you're raising kids transracially, you have kids from other origins, other countries. I think the main thing is that you need more people. It's really true. It takes a village. That I know that I can't give my kids everything they need. And so I have to humble myself, and I have to allow other women, other parents in to help me so that we can give the most well-rounded education to our kids that they can have.
Talk about, Melanie, building your tribe, because even with us having two sons that we've adopted at our ages, toddlers, you have to build a tribe and a group around yourself, the village. Talk about building your village.
Yeah, for me, there's definitely a lot of prayer involved, just like finding the right people. I think I've had to put myself out there and engage in conversations and try to meet people. You know, if I were to just stay in my own house or drive my minivan.
Was that challenging, Melanie, putting yourself out there? Because in the city, it's a lot different from living in small town America.
Totally is. I'm in the suburbs, and it's a whole thing out in the suburbs. You know, I'm able to go and engage people at our community pool, to engage people just with having kids in the school system. You get to know other parents at the school system. So volunteering at the schools or showing up for things at the schools, you meet other parents. And so I'm always trying to meet other moms, and especially as we were just bringing our kids home and I didn't know people very well yet, really trying to get to know other parents and striking up conversations with them. My first book, Women Are Scary, is all about meeting other mom friends. And so it's a challenge. It can be super awkward, but it can be so rewarding because you meet people. You know, so my biggest advice when it comes to finding other mom friends to hang out with is to start as close as possible where you are. So if that's the laundry room in your building or it's the park in your neighborhood, start as close as possible as you can to where you already live and then work out from there. Because, you know, if you meet your soulmate, but she lives 45 minutes away, that's going to be tough to be in each other's lives. So start close to home and try to make relationships that way.
Indeed. The book is entitled Calm the Heck Down. Melanie Dale is our guest, everybody. Stay on point. We're back with more right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the OPT Network. Our guest this morning is Melanie Dale. Her book is entitled Calm the Heck Down, How to Let Go and Lighten Up About Parenting. And as I was reading the book, Melanie, I thought in this season that we live in of COVID-19, there is so much intensity in everybody's life, especially for people who are trying to figure out this new way of being. And so I know that you wrote the book certainly well before COVID, but when you talk about building a tribe, how do you put your pride down to come out of yourself and what has been comfortable for you to reach out and say, because sometimes it's hard for us to admit that we need help, because I'm right there, like, I need help. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. It is hard to admit that we need help, but I definitely think it's better when we do. One tip, and I wrote the book before COVID ever happened, but I think it's so true and so helpful even today, the things that we're dealing with. But even when I think about the memories that we're trying to make with our kids, sending them to school, and all of the projects and all of the things that come with parenting, I have 3 tactics that I use: cheating, saying no, and delegating. Yeah, I'll unpack that for you because that sounds bad. But I talk about this in the book, to your point of being able to ask for help. So cheating, first of all, I cannot do everything. And so I cheat.
Right.
Yeah. Shortcuts. And so, for instance, my kids love to make gingerbread houses. I don't bake. So I go to the store and I buy prefab boxes of gingerbread houses with all of the decorating equipment already in them. So all I do, my big contribution to gingerbread house season, is I hand each kid a box and then I take pictures of them as they make their gingerbread houses, and then we throw it all away. And so cheating is my friend. Right. And then saying no. A little bit ago, my daughter, my youngest, said, "Mommy, when are we going to have mommy-daughter crafting time?" And I said, "Never. We're never going to have that." Like, I'm the wrong mom. I would need a personality transplant to make that happen for you. So, and she gasped in horror and said, there are a lot of other things I'd love to do with you. There's a lot of things I can teach you. Crafting ain't one of them. So I said no to that. But then that leads me to the third thing, which is delegating. I have friends who are awesome at that. So they can help her with that. I don't have to do everything. I don't have to make every memory with her. And likewise, I can help them out with their kids and things. So we can help each other out. And I think that's really the key, is that we don't get sucked into this lie that we have to do everything and be everything to everybody.
When did you figure that out?
I mean, I think it's layers of figuring it out. I definitely, when my kids started school, everything kind of ramped up. When they're home, it's easy to just kind of do what you need to do in your own home. But then when they get older and they start going to school, the demands get even higher. And then, you feel like you have to knock everything out of the Pinterest park, and you see what the other moms are doing. You go online and it looks like everyone else is nailing it but you. And it's just not true. So for me, I definitely think once the kids started school, that's when I started looking around going, I can't keep up this pace. I have to ask for help. For instance, it's constant where you have to sign up to bring in baked goods for different things. I don't love to bake, but my mother loves to bake and she's retired. So I'll sign up for things and be like, Grammy, get on that.
Absolutely. Coming and bringing your circle inward so that you don't feel the pressure. Because I know, I'm feeling pressure right now in pre-K. Our little ones are in pre-K. And there's such pressure just to be able to, I forgot what it was like to teach kids how to write their name and sight words. And so you just have to build on that village. And one of the things that you write about is those Joneses.
Yes, the comparison is really, really tricky. That's hard. And you compare yourself to other parents, and then as your kids get older, they'll start comparing you to other parents as well, the parents of their friends. And so if you don't get off that crazy train, it'll destroy you. So you just have to, one thing I do is trying to pursue friendship with other like-minded people has helped to have, like, I'm friends with everybody, but to have a few close friends who are kind of parenting the same way you are is helpful in that. And also to just recognize that you can't be everything for everybody, and to just kind of let some of that go.
And you talk about getting healthy and the therapy on the journey to birthing your kids, because I believe that we're all mothers, no matter how kids come to us.
Amen.
Was it therapeutic for you to step back from everything that you thought you would be as a parent, and to look at where you are, where you've come from, and to write this book in a real, authentic way, and just be real?
Yeah, I don't know how to write any other way than just to be myself when I write. So when you read something I wrote, it's exactly from my brain onto the page. So, there's no point in putting on airs with parenting, because your kids will out you as a faker. All you have to do is step out of your house and people will know if you're for real or not. So if I'm going to write a book on parenting, it's going to be my real self right there on the page for everyone to see. So, yeah. Therapy has been really key for me, and several of my kids have been through therapy as well. We put a really high value on that my kids are not only getting physically healthy, but they're going to be mentally healthy as well. So that's really important for us. And therapists have taught us so many great coping mechanisms and calm down strategies, and I've put a lot of them in the book. So if you read Calm the Heck Down, you'll get a whole lot of free therapy from things we've learned that I've written down for you.
Absolutely. And on its face, it is funny, but there are a lot of therapeutic tips in the book that help parents not only calm themselves, but to calm their children. When you looked at parenting from so many different aspects, what did you come away from spiritually? Because this has got to be a spiritual journey as well.
Yeah, the big thing for me, there's a practice that I do regularly that definitely fits into tying into the spiritual aspect of being a parent. I wrote it down in the book. Actually, I do what's called palms up parenting, because I do think one of the big things as we're freaking out, and almost everyone I've met is who's parenting is freaking out about something. We've all got some we're freaking out about.
Right.
And so we tend to just, we ball up our fists. We want to have control. And so when things aren't going our way, we can get really tight. And so one thing that I do is palms up parenting, which is a physical releasing of my palms into hands up. And I say, God, they're yours. And just to remember that I'm not parenting alone and that it's not all up to me. And I always say for people who the God thing isn't for you, then just breathing in that moment is helpful, just to release a breath and just to recognize that we're not alone, and we don't have to do this alone, and it's going to be okay.
Amazing.
So I started palms up parenting when the kids were little, and I would just feel like I was going to tear out my hair. And I'm still doing it now that I have teenagers and I'm raising high schoolers, and palms up parenting is helpful no matter how old your kids are.
And I think one of the big takeaways is parents, when you come into parenting and you think it's going to be one way, and the road starts to twist and turn into places that you had no idea it would, is to really find that place of calm, not only for yourself, but for your children, because it is a transition, not only for you, but for them as well, whether you birthed them or not.
Yes, it's so true. And especially now with the pandemic, everyone is going through this. Everyone is experiencing a year that we hadn't planned on, and plans that have been changed and canceled. And so we're all experiencing the death of our dreams or the death of expectations. And one thing that's helped me a lot this year, as well as just in general with parenting, is separating out what I can and can't control. Because I want to control everything, and especially this year, I can't control everything. So if I can focus on what I can control and something I can do something about, and let everything else go, that helps me calm down. So for instance, when they canceled all the kids' sports, well, I can't control that. I'm not in charge of our city's soccer league, However, I can control whether or not my kids get exercise.
Right.
And so I was doing yoga with my youngest, and I was taking my oldest on walks, and I was making my son go out on bike rides. And so there are some things we can control and some things we can't. And if we can just focus on dealing with the things that are actually within our realm of control and let the rest of it go, that is one way that I calm down.
What's the most important thing that you want parents to take away from this book? Just from your vantage point.
Yeah, I'm so proud of us as parents. Specifically right now, we're the first generation of parents in over a century who's ever had to go through anything like this before. We have pivoted so hard that it's practically a pirouette at this point.
I love it. Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah. It's and we just keep adapting. And so, and that's true even before the pandemic. We're the first generation of parents who have had to deal with parenting in a digital age.
That's right.
And social media and the internet and all of this. So the life is changing so quickly, and it's rushing at us. And there is no manual for a lot of the things that we're having to decide upon and figure out as parents. So I am so proud of us, and I feel like we're crushing it. Even when we feel like we're totally screwing up, we're doing really well. And so I think I want parents to come away from my book feeling uplifted and energized, and hopefully equipped with some ways to approach parenting and to calm down about it, and to just approach things a little lighter. I want people to be able to laugh, because I think that just helps.
I love it. Calm the heck down, how to let go and lighten up about parenting. Tell people how they can find you and all of the resources that you have available.
Thank you. My book is available everywhere books are sold. You can go to melaniedale.com to find everything about me. I have a podcast, Lighten Up with Melanie Dale, and I would love to hear from you guys on the interwebs.
There you go. Melanie, thank you so much. What an incredible conversation.
Thank you so much for having me, Carlette.
Indeed. Melanie Dale has been our guest, everybody. Stay on point. We're back after this.